Hello. We have a new moon coming up this Sunday, October 30th at 10:38 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That would be here on the coast of California in the United States. Um, it is the new moon, excuse me, in Scorpio, the sign that loves to dig deep and look underneath the surface of things. So with the moon, sun, and Mercury all making a positive aspect to Neptune in Pisces, another water sign, and the one that represents that which connects us beyond the boundaries of our ego, spirituality, art. This is an especially good time for going within, for connecting to some spiritual and creative side of yourself. And in particular, it is a good time for connecting to that inner voice, your conscience, your true conscience. The word conscience did not originally mean the kind of superego judge that we now have turned it into. It is a combination of the Latin con, with, and siere, meaning, I probably mispronounced that, but to know. And the conscience is like your own personal inner guide, the knowledge that you're privy to from that inner voice. It has to do with like an inner feeling or an inner voice or inner knowledge of the right way to act. Now again, that doesn't have to have a moral implication. Each of us has a right way to act that is true to our being, and very frequently we don't listen to that. Our actions are based on the construct that we've created of our sense of self, of what we should be doing, of what we believe we are expected to do, what we expect ourselves to do or believe others expect us to do, a certain sense of responsibility, but mostly there's a lot of other, crap piled on top of that. And we also can get very involved in believing that we need to keep going, and accomplishing and making and doing without ever stopping to listen to the voice within. Now, actually, the message from the full moon, which was to do nothing, or else things would get messed up, it's still true in a way, but it's a little bit more like the jazz song, "Do nothing till you hear from me." And the "till you hear from me" is that inner voice. Now, it doesn't always have to be that inner voice. In some instances, it might be some external responsibility that comes through unequivocally, where there is something that you have to do, like pick up your kid from school or take them to the doctor, something like that, something basic. But the understanding being that you stop, that you wait, that you pay attention and listen to what that inner voice has to say that we so rarely listen to, that really is like your cohort, your companion. It's a part of you. It's not other than you. And that part does actually have access to information that your conscious, rational, everyday functioning mind, which is very involved in creating this edifice of the ego, that part of you does not really have access to, or if it does have access to it, usually ignores it. So you have this not special tool, this partner, the knowledge with your conscience, your co-sentient being within yourself that you can connect to and that you need to connect to right now in order to avoid some of the pitfalls that also come with the aspects of this new moon. There is a tendency to try to overdo things and to suffer from accidents or unpleasant disruption, depression, a sense of burden. You can really make yourself very unhappy if you want to right now by following. The best way to make yourself unhappy is to become extremely invested in this sense of self, this false sense of self, this created sense of identity that might have nothing to do with what would be most effective and what would truly make you happy, or even what would truly be successful in terms of, your deepest goals, which may sometimes intersect with the more superficial ones as well. Socially, there's a pretty potent aspect. Pluto is in the same position as Mars, which in itself can have a little bit of like an undercurrent of nastiness and violence, especially since it is making a difficult aspect to Uranus and Aries. So this has the potential, personally, this definitely has the potential for accidents. It has the potential for disruptions in interpersonal relationships, unless you go within and listen to yourself and kind of go deeper. Personally and in terms of the partnership, there can be really unpleasant fights, really unpleasant and unnecessary fights. Socially, this can lead to accidents, it can lead to weather, it can lead to the kind of cyber attacks or other attacks, and the potential for violence and unpleasant disruption definitely remain. So with the upcoming election, this is of course not a pretty, in the United States, and with events around the world too, it's not a particularly pretty aspect, and it's one to be very careful about, where people can feel with Pluto in there, they can feel that there's been some sort of foul play, and they can respond with violence and aggression. That's Mars and Uranus. It's also very much the case that there can be upsets, that things can go a way that's unexpected, and that again, the potential for people responding very badly to this is high. So once again, with everything, if you want to avoid the potential for real nastiness, it's important to look beneath the surface for the deeper truth. And it may have more of a relationship to the surface than you anticipate, but you won't feel the connection unless you're willing to take the time and go within. It's actually quite lovely, and there are wonderful aspects as long as you take the time. All right, stay tuned for the full moon coming in a couple of weeks. And until then, again, do nothing till you hear from me. And that's not me, that's the me within you. All right, bye.